where history's shadows cast long, unsettling doubts, the truth lies buried. From cryptic wartime codes to assassinations that scarred generations, unearth the secrets the world tried to forget. Hosts Tim Gardner and Eli Frame guide you through a labyrinth of unanswered questions, where every clue pulses with danger and intrigue, and perhaps an opinion or two. It's not all facts because history never is. Welcome to the Ciphered Past.
Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of Ciphered Past, episode 76. Eli is on holiday right now, and I thank you all for watching and subscribing to these episodes. It really does mean a lot. This episode today, we get into a murder case, and it's a very fascinating topic. We got a lot of really good feedback on our last episode from you guys about this. One of our guests that we had prior on is a return guest. We have a new guest with us too that's joining us, and without further ado, they've done work with Stu Peters, Candace Owens, and of course Baron Coleman, amongst many others, upon their investigation, and their work is just absolutely fantastic. I'd like to introduce today Mr. Hadyn Wood and of course Muppet Masher. Gentlemen, thank you for being on the show with us today. We do appreciate it.
No worries.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely. Big fan of your guys' work. I mean, I know last episode Steve Cameron was on. I want to give him props, and I want to, say thank you again for making this connection happen with us. So, Hadyn, let's get into why both you and Muppet decided to get into this case. I know last episode you talked a little bit about it, but please expand upon it.
Yeah, well, initially it just looked completely wrong. I have a background in criminal investigation, and I'm retired now, but I just felt that the way that the Fedslop narrative was being presented was just beyond belief. And I think we share the same concerns that it really does look like they're trying to fit up Tyler Robinson. That's not to say that he may be involved in some capacity, but to suggest that he's a lone wolf, sort of acting alone without any sort of coercion or involvement from other parties is beyond belief. And I suppose I kind of felt comfortable contributing when we were presented with the prosecution's compilation video, which was shown on day 2 of the preliminary hearing. And it took me back to when I used to have to subscribe surveillance videos on Drug Squad, where you'd have people on the ground, you'd have informants and so on and so forth on the ground, and undercover guys, and they would clearly not in a position to write notes up, so they would just be communicating via comms, and you literally had to go through and subscribe all of the tapes manually to work out who they were describing and who was doing what. And it was an absolute nightmare, and I wished I would never have to do it again, and then found myself actually doing it sometime later with this case. But that the background in that was obviously helpful, and that's probably, I mean, I'd found a few other things prior to that, and been chatting with Muppet and others about various things that we were discovering, various anomalies prior to the court case. But I think that it was this that probably got me a little bit more attention than I perhaps had prior. You're muted, Tim.
I'll have to edit that out. Thank you. And Muppet, how did you get into this case specifically as well?
But mainly because they told me he got shot in the neck with a 30-06. I watched it on the day, and I'm still reasonably confident that we were looking at an exit wound, not an entrance wound. And then they said it was a 30-06, and I'm like, I just can't believe that. I've used large firearms before, and a 30-06 in a human neck is going to go through like every time. And I just don't think the damage that we saw and the movement of his shirt and everything, I just don't think it adds up. And I'm old enough to know that the government lied to us regularly, so it was obvious to me that the official narrative just wasn't adding up and the math wasn't mathing. So we've done a little bit of work before on the Butler shooting with Trump and some just online citizen investigation work from that. So we had a little bit of a network of people already online, and it's just grown and grown to quite a large community now. We've got a pretty big audience, so we're just trying to push against the FedSlop narrative, pretty much.
Yeah. You know what I find really interesting about that? You guys know that I do JFK assassination research, right? And the similarities there are very interesting because, I don't want to get deep into the Kennedy assassination, but the Oswald aspect of it never really made sense to me, especially the timing after the assassination. I mean, I always give like the analogy about how could he do all that, within 45 minutes after the assassination. I mean, to me, it's virtually impossible, but others will argue about that. But I mean, as time goes on, and I really hope that this case doesn't end up being like a Kennedy case where it's going to take, 64 years to really start getting momentum on this. But I applaud you guys because you guys are kind of like the Mark Lanes, the Vincent Salandrias, the pioneers of this type of research, and you guys get the technology aspect of it that they didn't have back in the 60s with this. I mean, right now we're unearthing things through documents on the Kennedy assassination. You guys in real time are figuring stuff out, which is incredible.
Yeah, that is the big difference between now and then is, nothing's secret anymore. We can pretty much find anything online, and if it was documented somewhere, we were able to find it. So, and we're determined it's not going to take 63 years this time to figure it out. So, there's a bit of a community now who are, none of them are getting paid to do anything. It's just pure research looking for the truth. And it's it's a good little team that we've sort of put together now. So, and I think joining with the YouTubers like yourself and a few others, there's a much bigger audience there that we can build on. And I'm on a bit of a mission at the moment to try and join the larger X accounts that are dedicated to the truth, not just the grifters, and the YouTube accounts who are happy to put out the information and try and join forces a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's all about community and how we can actually, work with each other and to get that story out there. And, for me, the younger generation, I feel like they need to know about the Kennedy assassination a little bit more, and they need to not understand that it was just a very vanilla aspect of Oswald, being the lone gunman that shot him. And it just doesn't make any sense. And we have to push the envelope on my case. But for you guys, again, like I mentioned earlier, it is about community. And so like any way that we can help you guys out, we will do it. And we're just grateful that you guys are here. So, but Hadyn, what do you think about the similarities between both cases that you see? Obviously, one is flawed by non-technology, but of course, this in real time.
Yeah, I mean, it's I can understand why it's fascinating for you to see the similarities. I mean, you've got a patsy who may or may not be involved at all. I mean, there is absolutely no evidence, no verifiable evidence that Tyler Robinson was within a mile of UVU campus on the 10th or the 11th of September. His vehicle, again, they're relying on vehicle description and wheel description rather than license plate recognition. So there's no clear verifiable evidence of his license plate, any clear video of him personally, no body cam footage of some of the assertions made by police officers on the scene and afterwards. No evidence of license plate recognition in the parking structure where they're asserting that his vehicle was seen. It's just a nonsense, really, and it may well be that Tyler had some involvement, but to suggest that that he's a lone wolf, a lone gunman, and shot Charlie with a 30.6 from 140 yards without taking his head off is just ridiculous. And I don't know why they continue with that narrative. Yeah. It's just not believable.
Yeah, it's the same analogy with Oswald with that piece of shit, pardon my language, a rifle up in that building, right? I mean, how in the hell is he supposed to get off 3 shots at that amount of time? I mean, you can't do that with a Carcano rifle. So, I feel like, again, like you mentioned earlier, we get spoon-fed a lot of these things. We're supposed to accept it. But, what would you say to the people that are out there, like these Benny Johnsons out there that are like, yeah, we got all the evidence we need on this right now, and it's a slam dunk case. I mean, like, look, I've studied your guys' stuff, and that alone, what you guys have been able to really collect along the way, can shut these people up.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're the peasants. We're the we're the bottom of the pecking order when it comes to visibility. So yeah, they can't hear our voices yet. But as Muppet said, we're building a community. We're gradually getting traction. I think more and more people are starting to realise that the official narrative is flawed, and the more of us that contribute to the investigation and focus on evidence and facts rather than conspiracy theories, I think that's where our strength is where Muppet has been absolutely fantastic at identifying some of the main characters and then looking into associations between, for example, the security company and TPUSA and some of the pastors that are coming out and, trying to defend the official narrative. So yeah, Muppet can probably talk more to that because that's what I believe his speciality has been. But yeah, as I say, it is possible that Tyler may have been coerced, but without any clear, verifiable identification of him or his vehicle in the area on either the 10th or the 11th of September, it is just a nonsense. And then you get people like Benny Johnson and the Tatum guy.
Yeah, Officer Tatum.
Officer, what a joke. I mean, yeah. Yeah, you're getting these people coming out and making completely false and misleading statements. And Muppet can speak to this because two people he knows pretty well, Billy and Brandy, were in court fortunately, for the last day of the hearing when they presented that compilation video, and all of these clowns started coming out saying what they had seen. And thankfully, we had investigators who had literally slept on concrete floors trying to get in the queue to fill the I think there were only 12 or maybe 14 places each day allowed for the public, and we had people sleeping on concrete literally trying to get in that queue. Unfortunately, Billy and Brandy were able to get in there and were there watching the exact same footage that these clowns were asserting was, 4K, HD, could see him pulling the trigger, definitely him. You could see it was definitely Tyler Robinson, and it was just absolute nonsense. And Muppet can probably expand on that.
It was. The Billy and Brandy saw the same footage, and they're part of the truth community that we've sort of in the network with, and they'd already confirmed that there was no clear footage. And with this, the propaganda machine that's popped out since the preliminary trial, it's very obvious to me that they've been activated because they're in a panic because I don't believe they've got the evidence. Hayden will go into it when he gets to the timeline, but the footage they showed in the stairwell has been deliberately downgraded in resolution. It's been cropped off on the edges, and it's been flipped. So there's reasons for doing that. And yeah, the propaganda machine is just out to try and flood the zone, and that's part of the main reason I've been doing a lot of X spaces with these people who are popping up and just trying to taint the jury, basically. We know what they're trying to do, and we're just trying to stay ahead of the curve as much as possible.
Yeah, and you guys are doing really good work on that. I mean, that voice has to be out there because, again, especially in this critical time before they start this trial, I mean, like, it's really, really super vital that this group keeps growing and growing and growing. And, it's funny you guys mentioned earlier about these group of people. I mean, like, some of these guys are the same people, and I mentioned this in the last episode with Hadyn. They're the same ones that actually were holding up those stupid Epstein binders, right? That came off Pam Bondi's desk. So,
Yeah,
I mean, you can't. I mean,
feels like just, that, like 2.0, doesn't it?
Right, right. So, yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and get into this presentation and start doing that. But again, we're joined by Hadyn Wood and, of course, Muppet Masher. Their handles are at the bottom of the screen as you guys are watching this episode. And I am pleased to be joined by both of them today in this episode as we delve deep into the Charlie Kirk assassination. Okay, so Muppet, I'm going to go ahead and get this presentation started here. You go ahead and direct me, and we'll get this going.
What I would like to say, Tim, is while you're queuing that up, the video that we're going to be looking at is a video compilation that was presented at the preliminary hearing day 2, but it was edited by one of our investigators, and her handle is kate.investigates on YouTube. And it's her video compilation that we're going to be watching. It is identical to the court video, with the exception that she's managed to put the staircase back the correct way round. So we're now going to be looking at the staircase the way it should have been presented. So we're not looking at the court's version, we're looking at Kate's edit, which will show the staircase on 3 occasions the correct way round. And you will notice when we get to those parts that both the time code and the notation added to describe where that camera was located the writing is all back to front, and that's the reason for that. And also, it might be good to just shout out there were some other people involved in helping us to prepare the analysis, and they are Amy Liz B. That's AIMEELIZB, and Matt St Baker, and his handle on X is Matt82704417. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but I really do want to give credit where credit is due. There are other people who've also contributed who, you know, I might sort of bring up during the narration when we're going through the video.
Yeah, and I'm going to leave their information at the bottom. The both contributors to this. I'll leave all that information out there so our audience can go follow these particularly awesome people. So we'll do that. But yeah, on your cue, just let me know what you want to do.
Yeah. Okay. So this video starts with a vehicle which they are asserting belongs to Tyler Robinson, and we're going to watch this vehicle enter the car park, and you will see a big blue sign.
What are we seeing here, Agent?
So a big blue sign with P1 written on it, and on the top right hand side you'll see a notation saying parking level 1. Vehicle entrance, and on the left hand side you'll see the time code, and that vehicle enters at 08:29 and 19 seconds. And what's notable is if you look on the right hand side as that vehicle drives in, you'll see some coloured, almost like parking cones. They're white, but they look like they have an orange, either a light or an orange top to them. And you will also see that the parking sign P1 is blue. So this is a colour video. When that vehicle drives in, you can clearly see that there is a rear license plate. Now, when Tyler Robinson's vehicle got towed from his home address,
I'm gonna go back here real quick. Sorry, I'll there you go, bud.
When Tyler Robinson's actual vehicle got towed from his home address, we see a really, really clear view of the back of his vehicle, and the rear number plate, conveniently, is a very colourful number plate, predominantly blue and orange. And yet, when we see the number plate of this vehicle, it is clearly white, even though you can't read the actual license tag, you know, the letters and numbers. There is no hint of any blue or orange on that number plate. And the next thing to point out when we watch this car maneuver around the car park is that when it eventually parks, it takes 14 minutes, 14 minutes, for that vehicle to park. So if you want to let it run, and then you can watch this and then try and figure out what this car was doing for 14 minutes. So the next thing we're going to see, the vehicle parks, and the next thing we're going to see is somebody who they are asserting is Tyler Robinson walking towards the camera. And if you stop it there, Tim, he is standing on northern Israel. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Bloody
It's
hell,
interesting.
Hadyn.
They have to tell us. They have to tell us who they are, and they've just done that. So,
Wow.
just as he arrives at northern Israel, he sticks his left hand in his left pocket and pulls something out. And initially, I thought it was a phone, but it appears that it might be earbuds or some kind of communication device. Because when you let it run, don't do it yet. But when you let it run, you will see him walk across Israel, and literally just before he disappears from view, you will see him put his left hand to his left ear. So it may well be something innocent like earbuds. It might be some other kind of communication device or listening device. But when he disappears, if you can then please stop the video, because this is where a lot of people got confused. So let him walk towards the camera, watch his left hand, and then when it switches to the next image, just pause it on the next image, please, and I'll explain something else.
Is that the right frame right there, Hadyn?
Yeah. So you might notice the time is back to front, but we're looking at somewhere close to 9:25. On my screen, it's showing 9:24 and 41 seconds. It's back to front. And this is the first image that the prosecution compilation video where they showed it the wrong way round. And this has caused a massive amount of confusion. Just the other day, Candace Owens was asserting that this lad coming down the stairs was holding his phone in his left hand. And when he reaches the bottom, he puts it in his left pocket. So that's led people to believe, including us, for about 4 weeks ago. This is what we believed. This is the first thing I made a note of, is it looks like Shorts Boy is left-handed. When he comes down those stairs, towards the bottom of that handrail, which is now to his right, there's a black mark. And that's how we can identify this handrail, this staircase again. But the other important thing to look at is underneath the, on the left-hand side where they've added a notation, it says, it's difficult to read because it's back to front, but it does actually say level 2. And that's referring, we believe, to the location of this camera, rather than the location of Shorts Boy, either where he's coming from or where he's going to. And that's important because that notation will change when we see this staircase again. So if you let him walk down to the bottom of the stairs, and when he reaches the bottom, just pause it again, and you will see the shadows cast, both of his shadow and also the shadow from the pillar, which is what led 2 of our investigators, Mycroft and Amy, to identify that in the court's version, the shadow was going in the wrong direction for that time of the morning. So that's how we were able to then reverse the staircase and understand that Shorts Boy possibly isn't left-handed after all. The problem is, this is how the evidence has been presented, and it's causing some quite big sort of podcasters, like, for example, Candace Owens, and then it was repeated by Jesse on Fire the other day, that Shorts Boy looks left-handed. So it's a right mess. And I don't know if you've got any questions so far, Tim, but that might be a good place to pause.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I would ask is looking at this frame here specifically, what's interesting is like you mentioned the shadows, but I mean, again, the fact that you have to reverse this video in order to actually get the right like footage is puzzling to me. How in the world do they think that they convince a jury or a people, like if they were showing this? I mean, that's the thing. Couldn't the defense actually argue that this whole thing was basically shot backwards initially?
I would hope so.
Well-
And there is a Utah law that the judge can exclude any evidence that has been, it's deliberate, that it's been presented in the wrong way. So there is a chance of that this evidence could be just disregarded.
I mean, I guess, Tim, there are two ways of looking at it. If we hadn't noticed that the staircase was the wrong way round, then we, if we were acting as the defence, would be asserting what Candice is asserting, and that is that this person they're telling us is Tyler Robinson is left-handed. So it can't possibly be Tyler Robinson, because Tyler Robinson we know is right-handed. If you watch him signing documents in court or making notes through the 5-day hearing, he is clearly right-handed. So either way, it's a bit of a bugger for the prosecution, because, you know, if they want to keep the video as is without reversing it, then we could assert, well, you're telling us Shorts Boy is Tyler, but this lad is clearly left-handed. How do you explain that? And if they then come back and say, okay, well, the staircase is the wrong way round, they've got to explain why the staircase is the wrong way round in evidence that they're providing in a death penalty case.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, especially in this, and it really, I mean, it comes in, I mean, with your guys' investigation, I mean, it appears that that's the thing, is the public doesn't really look into this type of stuff, but like, a group like you who is doing their due diligence on this. I mean, that's why I said it's such a critical time right now, because this happened, not even a year ago, almost a year ago. Right. And so, yeah, that's why it's so critical and important right now that this stuff should be shown to the public for sure.
Yeah. So the next thing to point out is that if you look at the clock, although it is difficult to read because it's back to front, it's showing 9:24 and 51 seconds. Shorts Boy is looking to the left, but he's walking to the right. And again, this has created a massive amount of confusion, because if you remember, when we first see him park the car, that's about 8:44 a.m. And we see him put something in his left ear at 8:44 and 17 minutes. 08:44 and 17 seconds. So their video then cuts to 09:24. So we're missing, what's that, 50 minutes?
Yeah, 50 minutes. And I mean, again, like you showed me last week with that white car when he was going down another particular type of stairs, they cut out how much time in that frame?
Oh, we'll come to that. That was 1 minute 16, I think.
That's wild. It's just, from a CCTV aspect, you don't usually have issues like that with time gaps, do you?
Absolutely not. No.
I mean, what's interesting is that when the confusion about this video is still going on around the community because people haven't caught up yet. So even Baron Coleman was asserting that Shorts Boy enters the car park at 8:30 or 8:29, 8:30 in the morning. And then, we don't know what he's doing for close to an hour, which isn't strictly true, because if you listen to the evidence given by the officer in the case in court. What should have happened when we saw Shorts Boy put something to his ear, the person in the court, the lady in the court that was operating the video, clearly wasn't told this, and let the video run when she should have paused it. Because what we then get, under the prosecution questioning the officer in the case, he is asked, they don't describe him as Shorts Boy, but they keep referring to him as Tyler Robinson. What does he do next? So this is at 08:44. And Hull states that Shorts Boy heads out of the garage on foot, heads to the campus and then the courtyard area, and makes contact with TPUSA reps. Let that sink in.
And just to, yeah, exactly. And just to paint a picture for our audience, so you know how it is when you go into a parking garage and you can't find a parking spot, right? And it usually takes you up anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes to find a parking spot if the place is pretty packed, right? I see no logic in somebody taking 50 minutes to go in a parking garage to find a parking spot. That is absolutely doesn't make no sense to me whatsoever. I mean, that's why I have to go back on that real quick, because it's just that in itself is fishy. I mean, 50 minutes is a huge chunk of time. So
no, and this Tim, this is exactly the trap that everybody else is falling into. He doesn't take 50 minutes to find a parking space. He takes 14 minutes to find a parking space, which I still believe is a long time when it wasn't packed. Mm-hmm. The critical thing is this missing period now is after he's parked. He put something in his left ear at 08:44 and 17 seconds. And the very next image that we see is him actually returning to his vehicle at 09:24 and 40 seconds, somewhere around there. And we see him with a phone in his hand, then in his right pocket. We see the staircase that we've mentioned. So the missing period between 08:44 and 09:24 is filled in by Officer Hull's testimony under oath that states during that period, Shorts Boy heads out of the garage on foot, heads to the campus courtyard area, and makes contact with TPUSA reps. Mm. Now, there's no video footage supporting that whatsoever. But we do have this missing 45, 50 minutes where Hull is stating these are the activities carried out by, they are asserting Tyler, we're calling him Shorts Boy. But as I say, the mic drop moment is that he makes contact with TPUSA reps. Mm. Muppet will explain why that's significant.
It's very significant. Yeah, especially with the time frame that's involved. There was only certain people that were there at that time. That's reduces the possibility of who it could have been. And we're trying to figure it out because it's definitely a massive data point that we just don't know. And we didn't even know this until sort of 10 months down the track. So, and then we've also had the backpack that was found at the bus stop after the event, and that turns out that belongs to one of TPUSA, one of Charlie's detail. So we're not certain whether that's they say detail, whether it's a security officer or just a TPUSA staff member. But they're two really important data points that we haven't quite figured out yet. But
the other thing that Muppet did, we had Blake Neff, who's a spokesperson for TPUSA, come into a space, and Muppet specifically, you asked him a question, didn't you, about Shorts Boy meeting TPUSA reps?
yes, and after we pushed him a little bit on that, he did admit that he knows who that was, and he knows they did nothing wrong, which to me kind of implied it might have been him. But it's one of those things that we have been trying to figure out exactly who we met with and where, and that it's going to be on video. They have to have that on video somewhere. That the whole campus is covered with about 1,000 cameras, and they're all very high quality HD cameras. Some of them have facial recognition where they can track you around and pick you up on other cameras, and it's a very up-to-date system that they have. And then we look at the quality of the footage that we're seeing and we wonder why.
Yeah, and for your viewers, Tim, the significance of this is that obviously Charlie Kirk was TPUSA. I mean, he founded the whole thing. They are trying to suggest that this person, Shorts Boy, they are asserting it's Tyler Robinson, actually had the balls to go up and speak to TPUSA staff or representatives before later returning and shooting Charlie Kirk with a 30.6 from 142 yards away. And they won't tell us who this person met. So who were the TPUSA reps that this assassin met between 0844 and 0924 on the day of the assassination?
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out there is I think not a lot of people realize that they believe Tyler, the suspect, was there 3 times that day. He was there early in the morning, met with TPUSA representatives, came back, went to Chick-fil-A, did a bit of a lap around, left again, and then came back. So, yeah, it just shows that they believe he had the gall to be there 3 times that day.
Yeah, so playing devil's advocate here, it would make sense if they had all the footage to suggest that, but we're seeing here clearly that there's literally a time jump, okay? And you see no conclusive evidence that he showed up multiple times, like you just mentioned, Muppet, about his movements that morning. But we have that question there. Obviously, we have the question about who did he meet or who did that subject meet at TPUSA that morning. And again, just how this video is in reverse. I mean, these are 3 huge questions right off the bat. And for those you who are watching out here, I mean, again, it's not like Tyler's trying to drive in the World Cup event and find a parking spot, right? Or not Tyler, or the subject rather. It's boggling to me. So these are great off the bat. 3 huge questions, red flags off the bat.
Yeah, I'm going to what I'm going to do, Tim, before you play the video again, I'm going to describe what people are going to see so that they can actually look out for these things themselves in advance. Otherwise, they might miss them. So I'll give you the cue to play the video again. But at the moment, we've got Shorts Boy at the bottom of the stairs. We've just been told that he's met with TPUSA reps and he's on his way back to his car. And when questioned, Officer Hull states it's about 9:25 when he's returning to his car. So we see him walk back to his car, and what people might like to do is set a stopwatch and see how long it takes So when we see in the next frame, when we see Shorts Boy walking back to his vehicle, start the stopwatch, and you could run a competition if you want as to how long you think it's going to take him to get to his vehicle, reverse the vehicle, and drive that vehicle out of the car park. So I will tell you that he returns to his vehicle, or starts to return to his vehicle at 9:25 a.m. and we see the car disappear at 9:33 a.m. and 13 seconds. So I suggest you start your stopwatch when this clip goes to the next clip and we see Shorts Boy returning to his vehicle.
I'm going to go back a little bit further. I got ahead of you there, so I apologize. So this is the start of the next frame coming up right now. Start your start watches.
Let it run, it will go to another level. Look at the clock on the left-hand side, top left, 09:33, 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then pause it there. How long was that, Tim?
That was 9 minutes.
The stopwatch.
Am I? Oh, the stopwatch. Oops. That was roughly over a minute, maybe if a minute. I'm not sure, but I mean, how can you make up 9 minutes in 1 minute?
Well, it was.
Am I asking the right? Am I asking the right question, or am I bonkers?
So, no, it's exactly the right question. It's actually 8 minutes. So 9:25 to 09:33 is 8 minutes, and yet, what did you think it was? About 60 seconds?
Yeah, roughly about, 45 to 60 seconds, maybe a little bit off. I don't have a stopwatch on me per se, but I mean, like, I know for anybody watching this video would be able to say that it was no way in hell 8 minutes or 9 minutes long, for sure.
Yeah, and I can't figure out where they've cut that. So
again, the logical question would be like, obviously, if you look at P1, right? He parked at P2, right? So it's not like he was parking up on the top of the garage, like the very top, and he was dealing with massive traffic getting out. I mean, this is one level that you're getting out of, and no way in hell would it take 8 minutes to make all this happen. That's just absolutely mind-boggling to me.
No, it's not a big parking structure, and it's hours before the event even started. So you're right, the car park's not jam-packed yet at all.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow.
So the next frame is you've got Shorts Boy approaching the top of some steps, and it says that this is parking level 1 tunnel. And what you're going to see is you're going to see Shorts Boy approaching the top of the stairs. He's got a phone in his left hand, puts it in his left pocket. I beg your pardon. So we see him. So we see him approaching the top of the stairs, and then he goes down into the tunnel. And then we'll watch him go through the tunnel to to either level 1 or the base. We'd call it the basement or lower ground in the UK, but they appear to be calling it level 1. And you'll see that he is walking in the tunnel, and when he gets to the end of the tunnel, he turns right towards the stairs. And I want you to watch very carefully what he does when he turns that corner and walks towards the stairs. He almost walks into a big concrete column, which to me suggests that's the first time he's been down there, or he's not familiar with that area. And the other thing I want you to look at, and again, it's very insignificant, this one, because I think it literally is just a second, but there's another jump cut that your viewers might notice. As he turns right and he nearly walks into the column, there's another edit before he actually gets to the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah, I'm going to play that again. So I rewinded this a little bit here, but I want you guys to pay attention to the glitch that he's talking about here. So I'm going to pause. This is the part where Hadyn was talking about how he almost walks into this pillar. So watch closely. There's a little glitch here coming up. See that? That's what Hadyn was talking about there.
And then if you let him go up the stairs, excuse me, he's walking up the stairs, and at the second or third stair up, he looks to his left and hesitates. He just looks a little bit uncertain. But anyway, he's walking from what we believe is parking level 1, and he's going up these stairs. He goes up to a semi-landing, and as he goes round the corner, Muppet will describe what you can see there. But it looks like this is something that Muppet spotted. It looks like he's fiddling with his backpack.
I'll go back a little bit here.
So right just there, as he reaches the semi-landing, and just before he goes up the next flight of stairs, this is something that Muppet spotted.
I'm not sure what the significance of it is, but yeah, he definitely reaches towards his backpack to make sure something's still there. That's what it seems like.
Yeah. Yeah. And keep in mind, audience, on here, he does not touch the rails one time. And we mentioned that in the very first episode that Hadyn was on. There's no fingerprints on these rails. And again, Hadyn, why would he not touch the rails?
So I don't think that we believe that this is Tyler Robinson.
Right.
So the danger for them is if it isn't Tyler Robinson and they're trying to set him up, and they find, or it's obvious that he touches a handrail, they're going to have to explain why any fingerprints that they find are not belonging to Tyler Robinson. So there are two ways of looking at it. If it is Tyler, then he's just being sensible. And if it's not, then it would be perhaps an op making sure that they don't leave anything incriminating that would implicate maybe a 3-letter agency, for example. If you watch him go to the top of the flight of stairs, but pause it before he disappears.
So continue with this frame, or just keep it paused here?
Let him go to the top of the stairs, but pause it before he disappears.
All right. Is that the frame that you're looking for there?
He's on the top landing, is he?
Yeah. So he basically is. You see the shadows of the pillar there, and he does disappear here at this particular point. I don't know if I'm at the right vantage point
No, I
here,
think you've
but
gone.
let me.
I think you've gone too far.
Okay.
So where we see him touch his backpack, let him go up the next flight of stairs. So from the semi-landing, let him get to the top and pause it before he disappears. There we go. No. Okay. Well, let me just explain. When he reaches the top of that's it. When he reaches the top of those stairs, if you pause it and look to the right, in fact, you can pause it anytime you like, look at the top right-hand side of those stairs, and you will see a blue parking sign with white lettering, P1, and next to it, a grey parking sign, which we know is P2. Okay, just bear that in mind, because the notation on this particular camera says parking level 1 on the right hand side. Okay, now we believe parking level 1 is down the bottom where he came through the tunnel, and we know that because there are cars parked there, and we have had some of our guys have actually gone around there and confirm that that is the lowest parking level available. So, as I say, in the UK, we would call that basement level or lower ground level. They appear to be calling it level 1. But the notation on the top right of here appears to suggest that the camera maybe the camera location is level 1, but we can see the P1 and P2 sign at the top there. And if you let it run, it goes to the next set, and pause it before he walks out of the building. And you'll notice that we're on a completely different staircase now. That's it, pause it there. And now look at the notation. So this is back to front because we have spotted that this is the way that the shadows should be at this time in the morning. So this is the way it should be presented. It was presented the opposite way round in court. If you now look at the notation at the top left, it says level 1. Well, we believe he's just come from level 1. And if you remember this staircase previously, the staircase with the black mark at the bottom of the handrail, they were asserting at that stage that this was level 2. Now the notation says level 1.
I don't know about you guys, but there seems to be something wrong with the CCTV. Like, I mean, there's just this is crazy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you can see
That's
that
what
he's
I
now
was
going
saying.
to be.
It's been cropped down. I believe some of it's been cropped and off the edges, and the actual resolution itself has been deliberately downgraded, so you can't make out detail.
Well, especially the figure, right, Muppet? I mean, look how distorted that figure looks like, even though I have it on pause, but that's really low res for
it is
a video.
Yep. And I think it might be a reason to have a lot of this evidence excluded. It seems they've tampered with it. To me, that's what it looks like to me. It's like falsified evidence. But yeah, Hadyn will tell you there's a lot more.
Excuse me. So you've paused it just before he leaves the building. And this is another. So he disappears. He's going to disappear at 10:10. So 10 past 10 a.m. and 10 seconds. Shorts boy disappears. And we know now, because the staircase is the correct way round, that he's going outside, and he's got a couple of options. If he turns sharp left, he can find himself on Campus Drive. But if he carries on in the direction he's walking, that would take him down the back of the Sorensen Centre, and then he can come round at the end of that service road. He can potentially then turn right and go into the courtyard area where the fountains are, and where It's alleged that he went previously to meet with the TPUSA reps. But you will notice, and if we were listening to the audio, you will hear Officer Hull is asked, where does he go now? And Hull uses very interesting language. So he basically says that we tracked him onto campus. Now, when I was in the job, if you're tracking somebody, you're either doing that with surveillance cameras or you have a surveillance team on the ground who have eyes on. But the interesting terminology that Hull states is that we tracked the person. And probably the best way to deal with this, Tim, is if you want to put the audio up on the video now, and let's hear from Officer Hull as he describes where this character goes next. And then we can talk
we were
about
able
it.
to track his movements on campus. He went to Chick-fil-A in the Sorensen building and purchased some food, sat and ate the food. Then, I'm sorry,
Where did he purchase the food from?
Chick-fil-A in the Sorensen Center.
And where is that in relation to the amphitheater or the courtyard?
It's kind of on the northeast side of the amphitheater. It would be on the upper back edge of the amphitheater, furthest away from where the tent was that Mr. Kirk was in.
And from there, where does he go?
From there, he moves across campus, out across Campus Drive into a wooded area on what would be kind of the northeast side of Campus Drive. Then returns back onto campus. We noticed at this point that he's no longer carrying the backpack that he was originally wearing. He moves through the Gunther building and the computer science building.
You want me to pause it there, or do you want me to let it keep running?
No, let it go to the end of that bit.
And then, I'm sorry?
And then goes where?
Then goes across to the railing that gives access to the roof of the Losi building.
From there?
From there, he comes back down the stairs and walks off campus from that point.
And about what time was that he left campus that second time? Do you know?
I believe it was approximately 11 a.m. or just after, if I recall. I could verify from my notes if you need an exact time.
Yeah, if you don't mind. That'll help you remember, refer to it. Don't read it out loud. Just let me know when you've had a chance to look at that, would you? Were you able to refresh your memory as far as the time?
I was, yes.
And what time was it?
It was just prior to 11 a.m. when he walked off campus.
And before we go any further,
Pause it there, Tim. Okay, and then you can kill the audio. So this is another 50 minutes, 50 minutes, where all we get is testimony from the officer in the case saying that they tracked this person onto campus, that they watched him go to Chick-fil-A, purchase, sit, and eat food, moved across Campus Drive, goes into the wooded area, returns back to campus, is no longer carrying a backpack, moves through the Gunther building, the computer science building, then goes across the railing that gives access to the Losi roof. This is what they're asserting is the route to the sniper's perch later. So they're obviously asserting that he's basically casing the joint. Back down the stairs from the roof, and then walks off campus just before 11 a.m. And Muppet will maybe chip in here and explain where some of these places are and what the significance is of this. But clearly, they don't want to show us any video footage of any of these activities.
Yeah, well, if he walked from that car park through to even Chick-fil-A, there's multiple cameras that he's caught on there. And in Chick-fil-A in the Sorensen Center building, there's cameras internally everywhere. Every food outlet there has cameras on the checkout. So they know exactly. And that one clear headshot that we expected to see of him on campus just to prove that he was even there that day, that's what I expected to see. And they have so many cameras that they could have shown us one clear headshot, and they just haven't. So.
Yeah, and couldn't they have actually, like you mentioned, Chick-fil-A has multiple cameras, especially in drive-through. It's interesting to me. We have footage of this guy jumping on, not the subject, not Robinson. I'm not making that claim, but we have, the subject jumping off, doing a parkour style like we talked about last time. But they have footage of that, but they can't get footage of usually in an investigation, an officer would go to a gas station to get, they would get that footage right away. And it appears that if they're not able to get multiple accesses of cameras, like you mentioned, Muppet, in such a massive case like this, and they can't provide it in a pretrial, that's another red flag right there.
Yeah, it doesn't sit right with me. I've been debating this with so many people that just believe in the official narrative, right up until the preliminary hearing. And I said to them, we'll just wait and see what evidence they produce to even show us that he's anywhere in the vicinity that day, not even just on campus. We just don't know. They haven't produced that one clear headshot with a timestamp to show here he is at this time and date. He's definitely here. And to me, that's all we really needed for probable cause. Like, it's very lenient. They're very low bar to get over for probable cause, but I expected to see that. And we just didn't. We just see like Bigfoot footage. That's
Well, to your guys' knowledge, because you guys know this case way miles and miles more than I would ever know, but do you know if they're trying to get access to the post Chick-fil-A footage where he goes into the wooded area, or do you know if that even exists? Or
they'd have to. Surely they have access to all the footage from that day. But we do know from David Hull's testimony and Brian Davis that he basically admitted that they edited video and made a compilation video and a chopped video. So I just don't trust it anymore. It seems like all the video from that day seems like it's been violated in some way. Right down to Terrell Farnsworth taking out the SD cards from the cameras. And then I found his affidavit the other day, and he never handed over those SD cards or a flash drive. All he did was upload them to a Google Drive and sent the link. And that was like sometime later. So he had ample time to edit the footage. And yeah, I just don't think the chain of custody is there. And now we see what they're producing in the preliminary hearing, and it doesn't sit right. It's not the correct footage. So.
all right, Hadyn, if you want to take it from here.
Are you okay to pause for a comfort break?
Sure, absolutely.
Just give me 2 minutes. You can chat with Muppet.
No problem. Yeah, it's bizarre to me because, again, such vital footage like this. If this guy is basically stating that he had time to change and do all this type of stuff, you would think that you would see camera footage of, I mean, and maybe they have it out there, you know, maybe they're collecting all of it right now. But I mean, like you mentioned just a moment ago, I mean, that's just wild. I mean, like it appears to me that, it appears to me that nothing adds up in this whole thing. This is just, I mean, but it takes
Even
it
his
for people like
movements
you.
that day, they don't make sense.
Yeah.
The 10 o'clock visit, they state that he came back. He comes right back around through the computer science building, which puts him under a whole heap of different cameras again. And it makes no sense why he would even take that route back into the campus for that trip. And then I've noticed that where he supposedly stashed the rifle in the bush there, there's two buildings. There's one off to the right of that, which is actually the NSA building, National Security Building, that UVU has a particular scholarship that you can go straight into the NSA, and that building's right there. And then off to the left of where he stashed the rifle is the ROTC building, which is the Army building, which is the military program that's run in UVU. So it's and both of those buildings have cameras on them as well. So that's footage that no one's ever really spoken about, that if he walked past those buildings, he would be on. And there's so much footage missing that we've never seen. I have to presume that they have it, and we will see a lot more at trial, hopefully. But yeah, it's Utah.
You're right. Hundreds or maybe even thousands of cameras in that surrounding area. And of course, like you mentioned, TPUSA had that vital footage from behind. We've yet to see that footage. I think Hadyn or yourself talked to somebody that was standing up close. It was a female. I can't remember her name, but she had gotten footage of it. Hadyn, when you get back, you need to refresh my memory on this. But
no, I'm here. Sorry. Just ask that question again.
So I think it was you, Steve. Steve said that you had interviewed somebody that was up front, and they were capturing footage of the TPUSA event with Charlie Kirk, and they had caught a different angle of the assassination. Was that you, or because it wasn't Steve? I can't remember. It was on our last episode. You talked about that.
No, I think Steve may have mentioned that he was aware of additional footage.
Got it. But
possibly from a side angle that we hadn't seen before. Muppet would know more about that. I think that was something to do with Cub Keller, was it?
Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds like Cub Keller's footage, which was from Charlie's right. The Keller family, that's they're from Scott Keller. Scott Keller actually has a building named after him in UVU. He donated millions of dollars to them. He's a local billionaire, real estate guy, and they had his whole family, pretty much, or a bunch of his family, in the VIP area, just on Charlie's right-hand side. And Cub Keller, the son, he managed to get some video of the actual incident in 60 frames per second. It's pretty good footage from the Charlie's right-hand side. So, but you're right, the TPUSA cameras that they had that day, I was actually looking at Terrell's affidavit, and he only gave them 4 videos, but TPUSA had 5 cameras running that day. So I'd like to know where the 5th one is. And you're right, the one stationed behind Charlie would probably show the shooter's position if it's not positioned too high in the tent. But you definitely would have seen the impact on Charlie in much more detail. And what they showed and what Candace put out from that rear camera was cropped down. The sides were cropped out. The bottom was cropped off. And once again, that was downgraded big time. That's shooting at 240 frames a second at least. That camera, it'd be a 4K camera.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, Muppet. Like most of these cameras that they have available either have 1080p or 4K resolution on them, right?
Yeah, and even people with their iPhones that are in the front rows that are all recording. That we haven't seen a lot of that footage, and a lot of that, if you get the original footage, which I managed to get from Cub Keller, I got him to send me his original, and it is very clear footage. It's not compressed down, and with multiple uploads on social media that compresses it, and then you end up with VGA footage from the 90s.
Yeah. But again, it would allow. So we're talking about even CCTV cameras that are all around the area, which brings me to my point, right? So that footage that Candace released, I mean, like, because she was kind of rebuting what Benny Johnson and others were talking about. If that's the footage that they were looking at, and see, that's the thing is, if that's the only public footage that we have out, like currently, of this guy crawling around and doing these military movements and what have you on this roof, I mean, how are we to even believe that? Because again, like you guys have mentioned in this episode multiple times, there are hundreds of thousands of cameras that are out in this area that shoot high quality. You should be able to catch a subject who allegedly did this shooting, like in clear form.
Yeah, one clear headshot is all we needed, and we'd go, okay, let's go to trial and see what evidence they can produce at trial, but they couldn't even produce that. So.
Which makes it more insulting when you get these people say, well, we saw the guy clear in 4K, like his face and all that, and you guys have colleagues that were there that can counter that. I mean, that is really insulting these influencers who really say this gibberish. God. Yeah, anyways, that kind of makes me irritated, but anyhow, Hadyn, I'm sorry, I kind of derailed there, but if you want to continue, we can.
So I think, again, if we do what we did before, so if you try and find 6 minutes 30, if you can find it exactly, then that'll be perfect, but 6 minutes 30 on this video.
Okay. Do you want audio on or audio off?
Off at the moment, and I'll explain what people are going to see, but try and pause it at exactly 6:30 and I'll show you something straight away.
Okay, we're at 6:30 right now.
Right. Can you see his right leg?
Yes.
Is it bent?
Yes.
So this is the right leg, which they are asserting he has to limp with a straight leg because he's got a rifle down his pants. So at 6:30, as he's approaching the steps, he's bending his right leg, walking normally. Okay? Now, what people are going to see, and there's a hell of a lot that happens in the next couple of minutes. So I'm going to point this out in advance before you press play. I'll tell you when to press play, but these are the things that you're going to be looking out for. So and we're going to call this person Limping Boy. Because again, no evidence that this is Tyler Robinson and no evidence that this is Shorts Boy. So the person that we've just been looking at was Shorts Boy, and this, I believe, is a different person called Limping Boy. So Limping Boy is approaching the north parking lot, level 1, top of the stairs, where we did see Shorts Boy earlier. And he approaches the top of the stairs as a white SUV drives behind him. You will see Limping Boy turn at the top of the stairs towards the car park, possibly towards that white vehicle. He's taken his phone out of his right hand pocket, and you will see that there is still, or it appears that there may still be another phone in his pocket. They're not laid sort of sandwiched, if you like, together. It looks like one is put on top of the other, which makes the combined length probably somewhere between 20 to 30 centimeters. But some people are asserting that what you can see down that right pant leg is the rifle, or part of the rifle that he's hiding. So you'll see him take a phone out of his right hand trouser pocket, and as I say, you'll see the outline of something else still in his pocket. I believe that's another phone, which may be a burner phone if he is involved in an op of some kind. But he turns towards that vehicle, and you are going to watch then the white vehicle as it drives up the car park, and keep your eyes on that vehicle, and it will disappear. And I don't mean we lose view of it, it literally disappears. And there is a cut then of 1 minute 16 seconds, and we can talk about that when you get there. So if you want to play the video, that's what we're looking out for.
Okay, I'm going to go back. I've just played it, so I'm going to play it one more time. So there's a white vehicle up there. And pay attention. Boom. A full minute goes by up top there with a disappearing car. That is crazy. I'm going to play one more time for our audience.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, it's 1 minute 16 seconds missing.
Yeah. That was 1 minute and 16 seconds. The car fully disappears. I mean, that is absolutely insane.
So, yeah, they clearly don't want us to see something, whether it's somebody he's communicating with, whether it's another vehicle that they don't want us to see, maybe somebody hands him something. But anyway, quite suspicious that they managed to edit 1 minute 16 seconds out. That what you're then going to see, almost immediately that white vehicle disappears, you get this jump cut. And then you'll see him put his phone back in his right hand pant pocket, and you'll see a dark SUV turn up. Now, whether that's involved or not, we don't know, but he seems to turn around when he sees that dark SUV drive past, puts his phone back in his pocket, and then you will watch him walking normally, so bending both legs on the first two stairs. His right leg is fully bent, and then he'll suddenly remember that he should be limping. So he then limps down the next few stairs. I think it's 4 stairs, one at a time. So one leg, then the other, one leg, then the other, limping down, but literally just before he disappears into the tunnel, he gives up and starts walking normally again. And then when he's in the tunnel, he decides that maybe he'll have another crack at it. So let's let it run so that he goes down into the tunnel. And then you'll watch him come through the tunnel. And as he turns the corner,
He's walking normally there.
He's going to walk towards the bottom of the stairs and pause it there. So instead of going straight up the stairs, you'll see him look left. Now, there was a suggestion that maybe somebody flashed their headlights, their car headlights at him. But I've looked at that a little bit closer, and it does appear that a car does perhaps have the headlights on, but they are manoeuvring. So maybe they're parking or pulling out of a parking space or turning a corner, because you can watch the light almost pan across the front of the cars that are parked there. I don't think it's somebody trying to catch his attention with headlights, but clearly something catches his attention, and he looks left before he goes up the stairs. not only does he do that, but he then disappears behind that concrete column. And when he emerges from the other side of the concrete column, he clearly has his hand up, and you'll watch him drop his hand down, almost like he's been acknowledging somebody. And then he'll turn round and then head for the stairs and start limping up the stairs. And if you pause it when he's on the next frame, when he's on his way up the stairs, I'll point something else out. So let it run. He looks left, he goes behind the pillar, drops his hand. Now, as he's hobbling up those stairs, you'll see him look behind over his left shoulder, and you'll see a car manoeuvring behind him. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So again, whether that's an acknowledgement of somebody or whatever, but, you know, we see him limping up the stairs. He is keeping his head down, so he's trying not to feature on the cameras. And this is described as parking level 1. And we've seen this staircase before, because we know that it comes from level 1 being, well, what I believe is the basement level, so the tunnel level, if you like. And at the top of these stairs, before we go to the next shot, you can see, again, at the top right-hand side of the previous staircase, you can see those two signs again, P1 and P2. Then it goes to the next staircase, and we know what this one is because all the wording is back to front again. So this was the third occasion that they showed this staircase the wrong way round. We can see the black mark at the bottom of the handrail. And we see him emerging. He's just come up from level 1. And the notation on this occasion, on this iteration of this staircase, can you read it, Tim, on the top left-hand side? It's back to front. Does it say level 1 or level 2?
It says parking level 2, stairs northeast.
Yeah. So you remember that on the previous iteration, it was level 1, and the one prior to that, it was level 2. So they've got their labelling wrong. I'm not being funny. In a murder case, or in any case for that matter, in the UK, if you pointed out anything like this, the defence would have a field day. Because if you can't be accurate in labelling your evidence, why should anybody trust you with anything else?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So we'll then see him attempting to limp across the car park floor down the bottom there. And again, he heads out to the left, which is out onto that service road that we believe Shorts Boy went out to. Before he goes out, he does look to his right. So whether the car from downstairs is like monitoring him, following up there, I don't know. But he does look to his right just before he goes out. You see that? And then we have a big jump again. So he's gone outside.
So we're going to go ahead and go back to this part here. So the time that we're currently looking at is what, 11:56, when he looks to his right, because it appears to say, yeah, 11:55 or 56. I can't really make that out. But anyways,
Yeah.
he does take, he looks to his right. And then, like you mentioned, we got to jump right now into 12:02 p.m.
Yeah. So that's another jump cut, another edit. So they not only changed the camera frame from the car park to the northeast corner of the Losi, but again, there's a missing, what's that, 6 minutes? 5.5 minutes?
Yeah.
Anyway, they then describe they assert that it's him, that we see Limping Boy emerge from the northeast corner of the Losi building, limping on the path. And you can let the video run because it's like watching paint dry, watching him limp. But he basically is walking along the path so slowly that somebody overtakes him. And he then turns to his right and he then limps along the path to the east side of the Losi building. And they're happy for us to watch him limping slowly along that path. But at 12:03:09, there's another jump cut. And we miss...
Hadyn and Muppet, I got a question real quick for you guys. With Shorts Boy and with Limping Boy, did you both notice that there was a difference in height? I mean, I don't know if it's because of the skinny jeans on the Limping Boy or the shorts, but to me, it seems like there might be a height difference between both those guys.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's like 3 or 4 different people that they're trying to tell us they're all the same person.
For both you guys.
Yeah,
but
Muppet
yeah,
can
no, I
answer
just
that. I think we're aware. We've had people go down there and even try and work out from markings on the concrete walls whether either Limping Boy or Shorts Boy are anything close to Tyler's height, which I think Muppet is he supposed to be 5'10"?
Yeah, that's what they've got on record. Yep.
There's no way in hell with how big that boulder was, that guy had to have been under 6 foot tall. I mean, there's just no way in hell. I mean, you saw how tall that was. I mean, come on. That's just my opinion. Sorry,
Yeah,
I don't want to get us off track, but
I think you're right. I think they're looking at multiple people, and I don't see any resemblance between them all at all.
So, what time have you got now, Tim, on your bottom left on your video?
Top left, or well, on the video itself, we have we're 8:22 in.
8:22.
Out of 15 minutes.
Okay, so let it run. But what happens? So they've shown him limping along the path in 2 directions. But then what they do is they do another jump cut, and we then miss 12 minutes, 12 seconds when it jumps to the next image. So just keep an eye on that clock at the top. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's jumped to 12:15:21. And what's interesting about that is that we do not see Limping Boy go into any building. And they could quite easily have let that video run. You know, we've had to suffer watching him limping from the northeast corner at a snail's pace, turn right and go halfway along the path, and then they cut it. So we've got 12 minutes, 12 seconds missing, when if he did go into a building, that would be supportive of the prosecution's case. But what's to say he wasn't picked up, that was the end of his job for the day? That's the last time we see him, that somebody picks him up in the car park and that's it, he's done for the day.
I just don't understand how they can't have the full length video played in court. That doesn't make any sense to me. If it takes 9 minutes,
is that tampering with evidence? Muppet, is that tampering with evidence?
I think if you're deliberately cutting the video and submitting that without informing the defense and them agreeing to the cuts. I think so, yeah. But deliberately downgrading the resolution, yes, for sure.
Now, Hayden, are we paying any attention to this person in the white in this footage here, or are we still, do we still have our eyes on somebody else?
Give me your timestamp, please.
9:43.
Let me just get to the same place on here.
Sure.
No,
I rewound it back to 9.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
I know what you're talking about. No, there's no relevance there. So what they're asserting is, if you go back to, let me just find it. So when Limping Boy disappears and it jumps by 12 minutes 12 seconds, it jumps to 12:03:09. I'm sorry, it jumps from 12:03:09. Just bear with me a minute.
Right.
To 12:15 and something. And this is where they're saying that the assassin is on the roof at the top of the stairs. And the stairs, if you see the building, if you like, sort of at the top end of the car park, has got loads of slotted windows in there. And on top of that is actually a walkway. You can walk along there. And at the end of that, on the left-hand side, beneath the letters Charlie Sierra, so CS, Charlie Sierra, that's where the top of the stairs come up onto the roof. And if you let it run to 12:15 and 57 seconds.
Okay. Hayden, I might be a little bit behind you because I went back from that time jump from 12:03 to 12:15. So if you'd like me to, I can start from 9:43 to go to that 12-minute mark.
No, I need you to be at. Can you just bear with me 2 ticks?
Sure.
So when we first see this frame, so when that 12-minute jump cut is, I need you to pause it then, and then I'll describe what they tell you that you're supposed to be looking at.
So right now we're at 12:03. We're jumping right to 12:15.
Yeah.
There we
Now,
go. Right here.
If you then look below the letters top right, Charlie Sierra, so CS dash roof,
Yep.
You may or may not see a stick person emerging from the top of those stairs onto the roof. And you would be forgiven for wondering how the hell anybody can identify anybody based on what we're seeing.
I'm letting it run a little bit right now, past the 8:48 marker, and I can't see anything.
Okay, so if you go to, on your video, 9 minutes 12, and you should then have a timestamp of 12:15:58.
Got it. I'm right there right now.
Can you see where it says CS roof?
Yes.
Can you see a church spire above the F of roof?
I can't really see. Yeah, I can't really see because the clouds are kind of distorting out where it says. Yeah, I can't really make anything out. I don't know about you, Muppet.
Don't worry. So taking the F of roof, you can see CS in capitals dash roof, correct?
Right.
come down directly below the F to the corner of the building, and you will see a dark figure.
Yep, I see it now.
Apparently, that's Tyler Robinson. In 4K HD quality footage.
Yeah, that's I mean that's not even like Muppet mentioned earlier, VGA. That's like a downgrade from that. We're talking composite video.
Yeah.
Can't see anything.
So then when it goes to the next, it'll jump to the next scene, if you like. Pause it immediately. As soon as it jumps to the next scene, pause it immediately.
Okay. There we go. I got it paused right here.
Okay. On the left-hand side, below the V and E of perspective, is a smudge. A dark smudge on the roof. And that's who we call Blurry Boy. Because there's nothing to suggest that this is Tyler Robinson or Shorts Boy or Limping Boy. So this is Blurry Boy.
We should have called him Sasquatch.
So this is Blurry Boy, also known as Roof Boy. Okay, so that black smudge there on the left-hand side, top left-hand corner. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see him.
Okay, if you let it play, this is him apparently running with a long gun to get into position to take the shot. There may be some commentary going on in the background, which might be why they paused it, but he's running at 12, 22, 24, 25, 26. Now, we know that Charlie was terminated at 12, 23 and 28 seconds. Okay, but something else is going to happen in the interim. So if you keep your eyes on the far right-hand side of the car park, where the entrance is to the car park, in a minute you're going to see a white SUV turn up and come into the car park.
There it is right there. And that's exactly, we're 3 seconds away right now. I'm at time marker 1510. So we're literally 3 seconds away from Kirk being unalived here. There we go.
Right. Now, if you pause that, when that car, just before that car reaches the end of the car park, it stops and you can still see the back end of the car. Can you see that? So my time at the moment is 10:56 or 12:23:35.
Yeah, I'm right there at 10:56 with you. Same exact time.
Can you see Shorts Boy or Limping Boy in the car park?
No.
So just where the back of that white SUV is at 10:56. If you look, look up, you'll see a gap between two cars and a figure there.
Yeah, I see somebody that would appear to be. It could be. I mean, because I mean, obviously
we don't know who it. We don't know who it is. But then, we don't know who that is. It could be Limping Boy. It could be Shorts Boy. It could be anybody else. But he is closer to us then the stick insect that they are trying to assert is Tyler Robinson, who is on that roof several hundred yards away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
And
one of the things that has been raised, Baron raised this, and other people have mentioned it as well, is that car appears to be waiting for somebody now. There isn't any reason why that car shouldn't drive round and find a parking space. We can see a parking space right where that kid is. And there's another one in the row behind. Well, in fact, there's two in the row behind and there's one where that kid is. There's no reason for that car to be there unless it's waiting for something or somebody. Now,
can I speculate something real quick? Looking at that, right, even though it's not HD and I can't really tell, it seems like a frail, thin, like, you know, body, like Limping Boy was. I mean, I'm not saying it was Limping Boy, but you can make a case that maybe Limping Boy was there to meet up with his car for some particular reason.
yeah.
While
so
this other shooter was up top.
That's one possibility.
Yeah.
If he's anything to do with it at all. I mean, we can't positively ID that blurry figure in the car park.
Right.
But he came from.
And can anyone see a 44-inch rifle?
No.
I'm really struggling to see a rifle.
So what you're going to see now, Tim, is when you press play, you're going to see a stick figure or Blurry Boy or Roof Boy on the roof running away from the position where they're alleging he shot from. He disappears behind that sort of atrium, if you like, on top of the building, on top of the low sea. He'll appear from the right-hand side and he'll head for the corner of the building. Okay? And the corner of the building is a slightly lighter colour. It's like a white triangle on the far right-hand side. And it's at the northeast corner of the building where we saw Limping Boy appear earlier. And it's also where this character in the car park has come from as well. Okay? But we're going to now watch this person run across the low-sea roof to the northeast corner. And at 12:24, almost exactly, he's going to jump from that roof, and that white SUV is going to drive at some speed up the car park towards Campus Drive. Okay, so just let that play.
Okay, so the car's stopped, and now it's going. Oh, he's kind of gunning it a little bit, isn't he? Huh.
So if you go back a couple of seconds, so you want to be at 12:23:48, 49. Say 12:23:50, so that'll be 11:11 on your video.
Okay. All right.
And if you pause it there, the car hasn't moved yet, right?
Yeah, it's still stuck in that position. Correct.
Right. But if you look at the northeast corner of the low sea on that white triangle, you will see Blurry Roof Boy stick insect on that white triangle just before he jumps off the roof. So keep your eyes on Blurry Roof Boy. He'll jump off the building, and keep your eye on him. You'll see the white car. It'll be obvious. The white car will accelerate up the car park and almost meet him at the top of the car park.
Okay, the white car is making its turn right now, looks like. He's going right by that red, I'm assuming SUV. Okay, I'm at the part now, Hadyn, where he's taking a right to get out of the parking lot. Do you want me to pause it there?
So did you see the lad jump off the building?
Yep, exactly. And we're at the point where the figure that jumped off the roof is at the end of the parking lot right by the trees. The SUV is about to leave the parking lot. I'm assuming it's going to take a left.
Yeah, it does. A lot of people get confused with that. They think it turns right, but it actually turns left, and it then passes Blurry Boy as Blurry Boy tries to cross over Campus Drive.
Okay.
And when
you want me to go from there?
Yeah, just let it run, and then when it clicks, because you can barely see anything anyway. So I mean, it's just laughable that this, they're asserting that this stick insect is a human being. I mean, we couldn't even tell the sex of the character, could we? So, but when it then jumps to the next frame, pause it immediately. There, pause it there. And on the left-hand side, you'll see a dark-coloured car leaving the car park.
Mm-hmm.
And just above that is a smudge on the road, on the other side of the road, sorry. And they are alleging that that is Blurry Roof Boy Tyler Robinson running towards the woods where the gun was found. So just let it run. So he's completely disappeared, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Let that run. And the next, when it goes black, as soon as you see an image, pause it. There. There you go. So before we talk about nighttime, this is now jumped 12 hours. So from when Roof Boy jumps off the building and disappears into the woodland, that's at about 12:25. And we are now at 12:36 and 1 second. So at night time, 12 hours later. Is there anything you want to ask us about the daylight footage before we talk about this footage?
No, I think we really went through. I mean, it's interesting because we were just going through, and I appreciate you guys let me ask the question about Robinson's height there, or not Robinson, but pardon me, I want to disregard that. The subject's height, the whoever it was. So appreciate that. No, all the questions that I had going along the way, you guys pretty much answered. So,
okay, so this is the next interesting bit, one of the most interesting bits for me. This is the 12-hour gap. It's exactly the same video that was shown in court. And some people are suggesting the quality of this nighttime footage is as good, if not better, than some of the daylight footage. But anyway,
you want me to let it run?
Don't let it play, because we're literally going to be playing with 40 seconds here. So,
okay.
What I'm going to describe is that Officer Hull is asked what is depicted by this video, and you can see on the left-hand side, bottom left-hand side of the video, you can see a white vehicle parked in the middle of Campus Drive. You can see a dark-coloured vehicle has just arrived at the traffic lights, and they are asserting that that vehicle is trying to turn right, and they are trying to assert that that is Tyler Robinson in his vehicle, trying to turn right into Campus Drive. But there's a vehicle in the way, and between that white vehicle and the dark-coloured vehicle is another smudge, and we're told that that is Officer Goforth. Officer Goforth approaches the vehicle that's at the lights, and at the time that he reaches the passenger side of that vehicle, it's 12:36 and 20. I'm sorry, 12:36 a.m. and around. Well, let me just play it myself, and I'll tell you. Just bear with me 2 ticks. So the vehicle's stopped. He's approaching the vehicle, and he's at the passenger side of the vehicle. At 12:37 on your video. And we do not see him go to the driver's side of the vehicle. And we know that because we don't see him pass in front of the headlights or the tail lights or in front of the rear wheel. But we do see that he is at the passenger side, and it's really difficult to tell whether he's bending down or just talking to the passengers. But he will later assert that he felt this interaction was suspicious and that he made a note of the license plate number. So what he didn't do was run a vehicle check at the time. He wasn't so suspicious that he made a note of the vehicle and then ran the vehicle registration at the time. But what we do know is that he had a 20-second interaction with the occupant or occupants of that vehicle. That vehicle then leaves at 12:36 and 28 seconds. So the actual interaction that he has is 20 seconds by the time he's walked to the side of the vehicle. And the car will pull away and it'll head east on 800 South. Now, any normal person driving up to that junction wanting to turn right into Campus Drive might innocently stop for the police officer to explain why he can't drive down there. And that interaction might take 20 seconds. And you can imagine a scenario where the driver says, "Oh, hi, I was hoping to go down there." And the police officer would say, "I'm really sorry, but we've had a major incident. We've had to close that road. You'll have to find another route. Do you mind just, carrying on?" And there may have been a chat about, "Oh, what's happened? What's been going on?" And the officer may or may not tell him. But that, to me, would be a 20-second innocent interaction. What they are trying to assert is that this is Tyler Robinson returning to the scene of the biggest assassination since JFK, and has balls of steel to drive his vehicle up to a police officer at that junction rather than try and avoid any confrontation with law enforcement. So they are trying to assert this is Tyler Robinson in his vehicle, in his Dodge Challenger, and that the officer was so suspicious that later on, when he realised that they were looking for a Dodge Challenger, they ran a partial plate. And when he was asked who the driver was, he believed the driver to have been Tyler Robinson. What we're going to see is you're going to see that interaction, and then the car is going to pull away and it'll disappear from our view at 12:36 a.m. and 40 seconds. And we'll have another chat then. So just let that play. And the clock is at the bottom on this footage, and it's UTC, so it says 06:36, but it is in fact 12:36 a.m. and 40 seconds when they cut the video. Okay. Now, what's important about that, Tim, is that that vehicle they are asserting was outside Miss Noble's house 2 blocks away at 12:38 a.m. So 1 minute 20 seconds from when that car disappears from our view, that vehicle has to be outside the Noble's house with a bald-headed driver and 3 passengers. And they want you to believe that the vehicle outside the Noble's house with the bald driver and the 3 passengers is the same vehicle we've just seen at that intersection where Officer Goforth is asserting that the driver he spoke to was Tyler Robinson, and he doesn't mention there being any other occupants. And that, Your Honour, completes the evidence of the defence. No, I mean, this is the video compilation presented by the state, so by the prosecution, alleging that all these people that we've seen are Tyler Robinson, and that every time we see a Dodge vehicle, that is the Dodge vehicle belonging to Tyler Robinson.
Wow. Yeah, that was incredible. And again, that type of presentation, really, I mean, this is really vital, especially before the trial begins. You know, getting that word out there to the audience, and to the public is really, really huge. And so I commend the work you guys have been doing, but you know, Muppet, I know that the Candace Owens video that she released out there, both you guys, maybe you guys get the take on this. So that really fuzzy figure, was that the footage that these clowns literally said that like this was the footage that really proves in 4K that this was that this was Robinson?
Yeah. Yes, that's it.
Oh my God.
And I actually believe Candace's version might even be better quality than what they saw in the court. I'm not exactly sure where Candace got hers from, but I've got an idea. And yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. The whole mob of Hasbara agents that came out after that court trial and said they all saw it plain as day and all clear, and we saw him take the shot and all that garbage. That's nonsense. They just lied. They basically flat out lied.
Yeah. Yeah, my takeaways from today's episode, which is crazy, is that again there's at least 6 red flags, right? I mean, you know, if to go over the summary, obviously when it comes to them cutting out these times, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Maybe they brought these CCTV footages edited for a reason, but it makes absolutely no sense. You would think if you're trying to prove that the defense, you're trying to really prove the defense is guilty, you would have literally all of the footage that you have available out there.
Yeah.
So these time jumps are a major red flag to me.
And I just noticed something on that. The footage you showed with him at the intersection there with Officer Goforth. I was interested to see what camera that actually came from. So I just jumped onto Google Earth and had a look. And there's the Clark Building and the Fulton Library. And they've got 360-degree cameras hanging off all corners, or at least the 2 front corners of both those buildings. And those cameras would have also caught the bus stop where they found the backpack. The backpack with the gloves, jacket, and other items I've noticed was also mentioned in that So I'd like to know what the other items were found in that backpack. But it's the same camera that would have actually filmed that intersection. And looking at that, they've cropped off at least the left-hand side of it, from what they've shown at court there, because it's the view of that would have been much wider. So I was just wondering whether there was another car behind him or somebody off to the left of that footage that they've cropped out. But yeah, just looking at these cameras that they have around there, these are new cameras that I hadn't spotted before. But they would have caught, if he's there, they would have caught him several times. Yeah. From different angles.
Well, think about if this was okay. So think about if this was just a regular murder case, right? So you know, I mean, I watched several crime shows. I'm sure, like you guys. I mean, you guys are investigative journalists, and obviously, Hadyn, you're retired at that, but you have years and years experience of it. If this was like a regular murder case with not such high notoriety, they would have already got all the film. They would have got everything, literally all the evidence they would have needed for pretrial to get this guy absolutely set up to being guilty. That way, his defense team can actually work out a plea deal. Yada 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 yada. Right? It seems like it's really sloppy. It seems like they're, man. That's why I have such a huge problem with this, and that's why I think the audience really needs to really get on board with this, because I mean, just because these influencers say that, like, you know, this guy's guilty and like we're supposed to trust the FBI with this and all what have you, I think it's a bunch of hogwash. It just reminds me, again, like we started the episode out, it reminds me of what happened back in 1963. I mean, they want us just to accept what happened, and literally, you guys presented evidence to me today, like over and over and over, that raises red flags and questions, and those should be answered. I mean, whether they're waiting with all this video footage that they have, they're waiting for trial. But I mean, who's to say that they don't have that?
There is a theory there that the defense is doing the I think they're aware that it was going to go to trial no matter what, because it's in Utah. It's a very low bar. And I think they maybe done the absolute bare minimum that they needed to show that they're actually putting up a defense. And then hoping it gets to trial so it can be completely exonerated, and then there's no double jeopardy. The double jeopardy laws kick in and he can't ever be tried again. So I'm hoping that they're a bit smarter than what we give them credit for, and a lot of this will come out in the trial, and that's beyond reasonable doubt. I think they're halfway there already. So.
Well, have you any of you guys heard from anybody in the defense team? I mean, at all about possible inquiries of knowledge from you guys?
No, but we do suspect that the information that because we've been discussing the same thing in X Spaces a lot. We've been dedicating X Spaces to this particular topic and keeping it short and sweet so they could go back and listen to the recordings, or somebody could point them towards it, and it's not an 8-hour long space or 10-hour long space that they have to listen to get the information. And Hadyn has condensed it down into a presentation that's very thorough, and it's very hard to dispute. I'm like Hadyn. I like details and facts and evidence. And when Hadyn started discussing this with me, it's something that could definitely make a difference. It's a bit of a game changer. So, and we've noticed that they hate us for it. We've been copping a lot of hate, and there's people on X trying to dox people to try and scare them off and stop investigating it, but we're not going anywhere.
I think the other thing
that's awesome.
The other
ahead.
thing to point out, Tim, is, and Muppet can speak perhaps to this better than I can, is that this period is quite critical because this is the period where the prosecution are asserting that Tyler Robinson is communicating with his furry lover and telling him everything that he's doing, that he's waiting for the sniffer dog to disappear so he can go and retrieve his rifle from the woods, that he's keeps seeing patrol people and he's worried that he might have left his fingerprints on the rifle. All this communication that they're asserting that went between Tyler Robinson and his furry lover. And another online investigator called Diligent Denizen interviewed a couple of witnesses at a restaurant 2.5, 3 hours away, where they say they were confident that they saw Tyler Robinson order a steak, were certain that the person that they served and spoke to was Tyler Robinson. And Muppet can probably add something to that.
Yeah, well, the time frame on that, he showed the receipt for it, so I can't really dispute that the supposed Tyler Robinson was at the steakhouse, but it's 3 hours away, and that's a normal drive time. But he's still there in Panguitch around 10 p.m. But he's supposed to meet that officer Goforth at 12:30. So the driving time in between doesn't fit. I don't suspect he's speeding because he's trying to avoid capture, and that's the time frame from the Panguitch back to Orem doesn't fit. So they need to explain that as well. But that, I think that needs to get out in the trial. I'm not sure if that was actually mentioned in the preliminary, was it, Hadyn?
What, the steakhouse? No, I don't think that was mentioned. No, but the important thing about that is even if he did go there and he did rush back, so that he could be in the vicinity of this intersection at 12:36 a.m. in the morning. Whilst driving back at great speed, he's also having a text conversation with his furry lover.
Yeah, about the sniffer dogs that he's supposed to be looking at, and the police vehicles, he calls them in the text messages. I have a big problem with the wording and then the validity of those text messages as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like if you were to go out and, I don't know. I mean, I always found this really troubling is that you wouldn't, I don't think that if you killed somebody so high profile, right, you wouldn't go out to your lover and like admit it. I mean, unless you had serious mental, issues. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not a killer. I don't know anything about that, but I think that's crazy. I mean, if this guy like was that incompetent, why would you make things that obvious? Like he just had to. I don't know the text messages per se, but from what I've heard, they're so obvious and so ridiculous that Lance Twiggs received. That I mean, just that.
One of his first comments was that he was hoping to take this to the grave with him, and then goes on and confesses supposedly, which isn't really a confession. And then talks about a note that he left under his keyboard and for something that he hoped to take to his grave. It makes no sense. Like a lot of that, the whole Discord exchange or message exchange doesn't make any sense. There's even a comment there that I think it implies that he's never actually even fired the rifle before. One of the comments says, it looks like Grandpa's rifle goes okay after today. So that to me implies that he's never even fired the rifle before, if he did. So, that I think hopefully they've got the metadata for that exchange and they can kind of show some evidence that it is real. But I'm highly skeptical on the message exchange. I don't think it's the way that 22-year-olds talk to each other in message exchange. And frankly, I don't even believe they're gay. I don't believe he's a furry. I don't believe he's gay. I haven't really seen any evidence of that. They just claim it, and they've framed the whole thing around the furry leftist killed Charlie, and it's a narrative build, and I question the whole narrative. It's I don't know. We've seen this show before. We've seen the circus before, and I don't know. To me, there's a lot of obvious holes and flaws in it now, but trying to actually prove it, and then get a big enough audience that can see it, where they can make enough noise and actually make a difference. That's where we're at. And as Hadyn suggested before, this part leading up until September 1st is, I think it's really important that we get out and spread this message as far as we can. So I'm into network building at the moment, so I really appreciate this opportunity to have us on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks ever so much, Tim. I do need to make a move in a minute, but thank you ever so much for entertaining our our analysis and talking you through it. Hopefully, you've got a better idea now as to
he got cut off
what
there,
the issues
but,
are and your views.
Well, this show has been great, Muppet. Thank you so much for being with us today. I look forward to working with you in the future. I do appreciate your work. And my co-host Eli, he's going to be on the next episode that you're going to be on. I'm sure he's going to really appreciate, tell you how much he appreciates you as well.
I can't hear you at all, Tim.
Again, please do follow him on X. I do have his handle down at the bottom. Also follow Hadyn as well. Again, they've done wonderful work.
Can you hear me, Muppet?
And again, thank you for being on our show.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And yeah, there is much more of a story to tell. So, yeah, and it's developing every day. We're still finding more information every day that we didn't know. For example, we just found some new pictures of them setting up the scene and setting up the tent the other day, which we haven't had, and we're 333 days into it now. So, we're still finding new information.
Yeah, and we didn't even talk about the them tearing down the crime scene the crime scene the day later and remodeling it either. I mean, like rebuilding over it. So
we can discuss that next time. We've done a deep dive into that. I reached out and spoke to Daniel Merrill, the guy from Utah Hardscapes, who actually laid the pavers, and got the story directly from him. And he sent me some pictures that he allowed me to share online of them actually doing the job, and how much was actually already dug out when they showed up, and how they actually worked into the night to get that done in time. So, and for Mormons on a Sunday, it's they don't normally work on a Sunday, so he describes it as he was told there was a emergency paving job.
Wow.
So yeah, that's another long story again. So.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll also talk about the Robinson family's, alleged confession for Tyler. There's so many things that we can get into, but yeah, we're definitely going to do a part. Another series on this to really get it out there. And again, we appreciate all your work, man. Thank you. And also thank you for getting out in the mainstream, the media aspects of it the best way you can, because I mean, your voice is really important. And again, I really appreciate this.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, I think it's important to stay ahead of the curve and just combat their propaganda. I just see it as propaganda, and I'm at the point now where if we don't do something about it and we don't stand up against it, then it's kind of on us. And yeah, I'm always a big leader, a big thinker of we need to leave the future for the better for the next generations. So yeah, so they're the ones that suffer if we don't do anything about it. So.
Well, I believe that our world has suffered since 1963. I mean, I you know, again, you know me, I'm a JFK researcher, but I mean, my final take on this is, you know, since 1963, we've been living in a purgatory of, like, you know, propaganda, BS stories that we're supposed to accept in the history books and what have you.
Yep,
And
half
it
truths and misinformation, disinformation.
Yeah.
And now that Netanyahu came out and said it with his eighth war front, which is controlling and owning and running the media, and controlling the information flow. So, yeah, it is pretty much a battle. But yeah, so, but anyway, we need more people on our team. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. And again, the truth is always out there. So it's just up to us to unearth it and to really apply pressure. And so, but anyways, that will conclude our episode. We're going to be doing another one here with Hadyn and Muppet here coming up in either September or probably September during the when the trial starts. So again, Muppet, thanks again for joining us. And
Thank you.
Absolutely. And you guys have a good one. Like I say, the truth is out there every episode. We'll talk to you guys on the next one. Thank you.